Senior Report thanks Edmund Besch of Bristol Burgess Insurance Agency, 65 East Main Street, Westfield, for his generous grant to provide news to seniors. Funding is provided by a grant from New York State Senator Catherine M. Young, representing Western New York's 57th District with a local office in Olean. Funding for Senior Report is provided in part by a grant from Andrew Goodell, Assemblyman for the 150th District of the New York State Assembly. Senior Report with Reed Powers thanks Westfield's Schultz Chevy for a generous grant to inform seniors of important news. Over 50 years of service to Westfield by Chevrolet, Schultz Chevy across from the school. The physicians of Jamestown Primary Care are happy to sponsor the Senior Report. From the Access Channel 5 television studio in Mayville, it's Senior Report with Reed Powers. Senior Report is broadcast live throughout northern Chautauqua County on Saturday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. each week. Call in and share a thought, make a comment, ask a question, or simply wish someone a happy birthday on Chautauqua County's only live call-in senior program. Since 1995, Reed has been bringing viewers hundreds of interesting guests, informing the community on a variety of subjects. Here's the host of the show, Reed Powers.
And we're on. And here we go. What a beautiful day we have here in Chautauqua County with that sun beaming down. The crispness is coming in from the autumn. It was down in the 50s today, and actually yesterday it was down in the low 40s, believe it or not. But it's just a wonderful time of year. And this is the time to plant your garlic. If you're going to put in garlic, you put it in the first week in September, and it will reward you with the funny thing about garlic is the bigger the little clove you put in, the bigger the plant will be. Nobody knows why. Put in a little clove, it'll be a little plant. You won't get a huge bulb, but you put a big bulb in, clove, and you get a big bulb. And remember that when you're planting your garlic, every 8 inches and 4 inches deep. You can't go wrong. And you have all the garlic in the world for just a little tiny garden space. And I've got some special garlic if you want it. Get in touch with me. It's called Red Magic, and it's from England. And it's a wonderful, wonderful, flavorful garlic. And grows only 6 big cloves on a bulb. There's none of the little ones. You just 6 big ones. Last 6 months in your refrigerator in the crisper. Can't go wrong, guys. Have a wonderful guest here. We're going to talk about Josh is going to tell us about C.R.I.C, which is not the creeks we're fishing in. It's the C.R.I.C building system. And they can help you out with your house. If you need some dough or you need some improvements and advice, he'll tell you what he's going to do for you. And it's a nice program we have in the county. On the news issues, you don't see much national news, except right now it's all about the Syrian strike. They gassed a whole bunch of their people, over 1,400 of their own people, kids, 500 kids, and it was just outrageous. Gas has been outlawed because it's so bad since World War I, actually, the end of World War I. They did away with it. In World War II, they never used it. Suddenly, this terrible Assad is gassing his own people. It's unbelievable. And Obama wants to strike them to punish him. I don't know what he's going to strike, but in the meantime, it's such a hot button issue that the United States seems to be against it, our own country. Russia's against it, and a lot of other countries, although there are a few countries that like the idea. So we're going to have to find out what happens. They keep asking him. He went to Congress. He's stalling, really. You form a committee if you want time. Well, you go to Congress if you want time. He went to Congress and says, I want the say-so from you to go ahead, Congress will stall around, fool around for a while, and we'll have to see what happens. They keep asking him, if Congress says no, what are you going to do? He says, well, I'll have to see. He won't tell. But he did go on record as saying, yeah, that's the red line. If you do something like that, we're going to bomb you, knock out a lot of stuff. And again, what's he going to bomb, though? What are the consequences? They're going to start bombing Israel or what? What's going to go on here? Iran going to jump into it? We need another war in the Middle East, don't we? God help us. That's why America's against it. Chautauqua County is slowly closing down. The institute has closed pretty much, although they still have events going on over there. And a lot of people hang out for another month or so. They love it over there. Still have decent weather. And the farmers markets are going strong, but they will not last long. They're going to shut down shortly, too. They are the gem of Chautauqua County. These wonderful farmers markets. Every little town, village, and city, and whatever, they all have a farmers market. You go down and get fresh produce, grown locally, and you get all the honey all the honey in the world. They always have 2 or 3 honey stands in the farmers markets. I don't know why there's so much honey up here in Chautauqua County, but there seems to be a lot. God bless us. Each honey's different, incidentally. It depends on the field. If it's alfalfa, if it's a different sort of, if corn, they have different flavors in the honeys. And of course, if you bring them in from other places, like you can get buckwheat and you can get orange from Florida, and honey's a wonderful thing, isn't it? Better than using sugar, I must add. It's much better for you. And also, it keeps a lot of bees alive and well, Thousands of them. I think there's 70,000 in the average little hive, small hive. And they don't sting you much. Yeah, bee people are pretty smart. They don't get stung very often, although they all do from time to time. And they say it helps with your allergies. If you're stung by a bee from a local area, there's something about the pollen and everything that they absorb that protects you against allergies from the pollen. Yeah, that's what doctors tell us. So anyway, world is great, wonderful, beautiful times. Things are going perfectly, and I've got some stories here from the seniors. We have a lot of wonderful senior groups here. Every town, village, and locale has one. And I first want to say hats off to CVS. They gave us they have wonderful service over there. And they're very caring, and if you need a pharmaceutical product or whatever, CVS is the way to go. In Westfield, they shut down the pharmacies, and all your records went over to CVS in Westfield. And Westfield CVS is fantastic. The service over there is outstanding. Speaking of closing down, Timmerman's has the best corn in the United States. Sweet, wonderful corn, but it's getting hard to find now. Sadly, the season is closing down. We got some a couple of days ago, and it was still very poppy, fresh, and great. Remember, don't overcook your corn, for God's sake. My grandfather used to say, get a pot boiling, go out in the field, pick the corn, run home, shuck it, get it in the pot immediately. And only cook it 2 minutes. You don't really cook corn, sweet corn you eat. You heat it up good, but you don't want to cook it for a long period of time, because what happens is the sugar turns to starch, and that's why it's kind of mushy. You want it poppy and sweet and good. All right, there you go. And hats off to Timmerman's in Westfield. They have the greatest produce and fresh, sweet corn and wonderful, the vegetables there, and they have fruits. Homegrown peaches, everything. You can't go wrong. And this is not an advertisement. It's just hats off to a wonderful organization. Timmerman's Farm Stand out at the west end of Westfield. You've all seen it. It's just out past the Farmer's Daughter. And it's on the right-hand side on Route 20. Okay, now, got a lot of other farm stuff here going on. First of all, keep your brain healthy. There's going to be a seminar on that, and it's an active aging event, and they're going to talk about keeping your brain healthy as you age. Some of the things you can do to keep active, and that's the problem. Your brain rots if you're not careful. You got to keep it active and going and fresh. Dr. Steve Dorfitis will be talking about it. He is a big gun from the Dent Neurological Institute in Buffalo. And he will be giving you some inside stuff. And they'll have a dinner there, incidentally. Chicken salad on a croissant, fruit salad, dessert, hot tea, lemonade, all the other stuff. So, excuse me. So get out there and give it a try. This will be Thursday, September 26th, 8 a.m. Lunch is at noon at the Lakewood Rod and Gun Club. What a nice place. Again, you want to keep your brain active. Thursday, September 26th, 8 a.m., Lakewood Rod and Gun Club. The program starts at 9. You have coffee and fun up to that time. All right. I wanted to mention that. I thought that's really sweet. And it's free. The lunch you pay $7 for, but it's well worth it. Who can go wrong with chicken salad on a croissant? It no works. Great Bell Seniors, they had a big picnic. You know, everybody's having picnics, and the time is just about over for the picnics. But they went out to the lighthouse, and that lighthouse in Dunkirk has been there for a long, long time. It's been restored, and it's a Victorian house next to it where the lightkeepers used to live. And they have a maritime museum there now. That means, I guess, lake stuff. They collect over at Great Belt. Great Belt, incidentally, meets at the Mason Hall in Fredonia. And they cut and sort coupons, and they send them all over the place. Some of them have actually sent them over to Naples, Italy, for the troops to use, you know, if they're over there. Stop by the center over there, the Great Belt Seniors, any Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, 10 a.m. for coffee, dessert, and conversation. They just get together and have a good time. How can you go wrong with that, huh? Stockton Seniors, they have terrific things going on over there. I just want to say the president over there is June Wallet, and if you want to get involved with them, drop around. They're going to have hot dogs with a potluck dinner, and chefs will be cooking. Bring a dish to pass. You know, most groups have a nice dinner around noon, and they have a dish to pass and all your stuff. Bring your silverware and everything, plates and whatever you need. All right. Lakeshore Seniors, they meet at the Dunkirk Senior Center, which is a fantastic place, an old school. Stella Mikulak does the job, and if you want to get involved over there, drop around. They say, hey, we're ready to roll. Brockton, Portland, I mentioned them briefly, and I just want to say congratulations to Art Donovan for receiving his high school diploma. A lot of seniors, you know, are getting their high school diplomas now because they were whisked off to war and never had a chance to really get it back. And so they're giving them an honorary in many cases. So congratulations over there. Happy birthday also to the Brockton, Portland guys. Happy birthday. I'll mention a few. Tom DeJoe, Harold Bulwitz, Ann Zengi, Ruth Patterson, and Joe Gatto, 89, and Ruth Patterson is 96. Angie Zengi, 93. Can you go wrong? Shows you, living in Chautauqua County, you don't get snuffed out early. You live here a long, long time, you know. Can't go wrong. Drop around there if you want to join the Brockton, Portland crowd. September 30th, they're going to have a Chinese auction. And chefs be making hamburgers and hot dogs again. Rudy Anardi, Cliff Lee, Bob Jakota, and Tom DeJoe will be doing the works. They'll have bingo, of course, afterwards. All the senior groups play bingo afterwards. It's a quid pro quo. You have to. Quick note here, Sheridan Happy Seniors. They're going to have a meeting the 13th of September. Don't drop. If you drop around, if you want to meet them over in Sheridan and at the fire hall there, as a matter of fact, they deliver meals. Yeah, Meals on Wheels. Barb Tower, John Reardon, Jan Polisoto will be the food committee. That's the best part of the meeting, you know. Dunkirk Seniors, a quick note for them. They're having open registration for the October trips on October 15th. And they're going to travel to Seneca, Niagara Casino. On October 25th, they will attend a matinee performance of The Drawer Boy. It's at the Springfield Center for the Arts. This is for members only, so join up quick. All right, now they're telling me I've got to get moving here. My time is up. So for you, I have a special announcement, and then we'll move right along with Doc Hamels, who has a lot to say. You're on.
I don't think anyone captured my first steps on camera. I was the 5th kid, and by that time, first steps weren't a big deal. I was 16 and driving home with my brother Ben. A distracted driver hit us. Ben died on impact. I had 47 days in a hospital bed for reality to settle in. With a major spinal cord injury, doctors said I would never walk again. But deep down, I knew I would. I prayed that every day. Family, friends, strangers, all started to pray for me to be able to walk again. The progress has been slow, and the victories hard-won, but I feel the prayers.
Whether you need support in a tragedy or just to make it through a bad day, prayer can make a difference. America, let's come together by believing with each other.
For someone to come alongside you and say, I'm going to believe with you, it means a lot.
You know, I've got personal experience. Prayer works. Believe it or not. We're not quite sure how it links up with the satellites and with God, but it works somehow. Get enough people praying for something, it'll happen. I've got a neighbor I'm praying for. All right, guys. We got with us John Hamels. John is affectionately known as Doc Hamels. Been in our county ever since the world began, and he is involved in a whole bunch of different committees and activities here. He's very active in our community, and he comes along and he tells us what's happening, and he shoots from the hip. John, you're on.
I sit here in awe because I never know how I'm going to be introduced. Good morning, everybody, and good morning, Josh. Welcome to the show. You enjoying yourself? Yeah, you're sitting here very quietly saying, what have I gotten myself into? Yeah. It does get worse. Okay. Good morning, folks. Just by way of information for all of you, if you have an announcement, an event, or something like that, call in. It's free. I take the information, or you can call in during the live part of the show, or if you're shy, I'll write it down, give it to Reed, and we'll announce it during the show. So I have a few things I want to share with you that I've been picking up, Reed. Today, over at the Bemis Point Golf Course, there's a big fundraiser called the Rainer Fund for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And just turns out that Bill and I are playing there from 3 to 4. Gratis, pro bono. We do a lot of charity work. But that's going on today, September 7th. So don't go tomorrow. It's today.
Again, repeat where and when?
Bemis Point Golf Course, starting anytime now. It's throughout the day. They're having different events, Chinese auctions and food and all that sort of thing. But it's for the American Foundation for Prevention of Suicide. Also, Chris, you ready? Bring it down. Thank you. Magic of TV. Today, if you are a music aficionado or you just want a fun night out, I know you can't read everything that's on here, but if you look on, I guess it's your right side, that's all the places they're going to have live music tonight and all the different groups that have donated their time. And this is to support the Infinity Music Program. This is the 10th year, and it's going on today, September 7th, starting at 6 o'clock. And in case you're interested, Bill and I will be playing from 6 to 6:45 at the Labyrinth, and it's like going into Greenwich Village. It's a downstairs, under the ground kind of a thing. It's really a lot of fun. $10 get you a wristband, and you can go to any of those venues throughout the city. People are walking the streets, and they're having a great time, and you hear music coming out of all the different establishments. 2 weeks from now, there's a special benefit for a little fellow that has spinal cord cancer. They're having a lot of problems with this little guy with his health. Aiden Nichols Benefit Dinner. It's September 21st, Saturday from 12 to 6. A spaghetti dinner being held at the Gary Volunteer Fire Department. I'll be announcing that again next week. Reed, this is a good one. You're going to like this. You're going to have to tune in for this one. On October 19th, somehow or another, guys talked me into do this, but we're going to be moderating a debate between the two county executive candidates, Dan Johnson and Vince Horrigan. And we're going to have the opportunity for cross discussion. We're going to have a debate. We're going to have the opportunity for people to get their questions posed to the candidates. We haven't figured that all out exactly yet, but that'll be at noon on October 19th. We're working on setting up 2 other debates, but nothing is solid yet on that, but we'll bring that to you just as soon as we can. And just a quick note, mark your calendar. I know, a lot of things going on in the county, huh? The Westfield Mayville Rotary Gold Rush is October 19th at Easton Hall. I'll be talking about that more, but just mark your calendars.
What's the date on that one?
October 19th, it's Saturday.
19th, that was October.
All
We
right.
got time then.
5 o'clock. Okay, but I'll tell you more about that. I got a poster and all that, but I just wanted to do one of those and mark your calendars. All right, Reed, you and I have been talking about all kinds of things in the last couple of years together about the county government, and we're the highest tax county for its size in the country, right?
According to Forbes and a number of other people who keep records, we are the highest taxed.
Okay, and we've talked about the issue of the county home being sold. We've looked at, they're proposing airports to be sold and so forth. So on the way over here, I thought, let's just take a step back. Forget about the county home as far as the county home, but let's just think of government as a whole. What if they, being whoever they is, are right? What if it's time for a reshuffling, a reorganization of the county's assets and finances? What if it's time? I'm not agreeing. I'm just saying, what if they're right? And it's time for what we always talk about, less government layers. You know, you live in an area where there's 2 government layers, right in your own, where you live, right?
Well, a number of our towns have 1 town and 1 village. It's
Right,
ridiculous.
right.
2 different entities for the same exact location.
So what if they being these government folks or people that are thinking heads are right? What if it's time to look at Chautauqua County as a whole, regardless of what all the little pieces are, rather than dwelling on one aspect, but to say it's time to change. It might be time to let go of some of our programs and let it go private. Not agreeing with it. I'm just saying maybe it's time. You know, you look at corporations that they cut their assets or they cut their responsibilities to become more profitable or whatever. Now, counties run differently. I understand that. But you just told me we're the highest taxed county in the country for our size. So maybe we should take a little look at what they're saying and think about that some in the next couple of years. Think about who's running for county government, who's going to be our new county executive. Do they have a blueprint for us to change? And maybe, just maybe, we need to give up some of these things so that we're less taxed, that we bring in more businesses into this area, and people want to live here longer and stay here. And they live to well into their 90s. I don't know.
Even hundreds.
But it's a rhetorical question, but I have to, what was that? Even what?
Even into the hundreds.
Oh, into the hundreds. I thought you were into the Amish. That too. Yeah. But what if, from a rhetorical point of view, we just take a step back and let go of the emotional argument that we've been having, you know, that's been tugging at our heartstrings on some of these projects, and just look at it a bigger picture and just say, what if we did these things and what would we look like? I don't know anybody that can do that for us right now, but if you're out there, call us, because I'd love to have them on the show that they could show us a bigger picture. But what's happening is we're zeroing in on these little programs and say, oh no, we can't let that go. We can't let go of our school system. We can't let go of the county home. We can't let go of our airport. So we're a prisoner in our own concerns. We're a prisoner in our own a collection of things that we hold near and dear to us because we've done it forever. So maybe it's time to stop doing what we've always done and do something different. I don't know what they are. I'm not that wise yet, but I'm getting there, Reed. Back to you.
Thank you. Well said. Corporations are cutting back, but they have not cut their own hearts out yet. Let's keep certain things. You know, we're trying to sell all our assets off. The airports, the county home. These are things that make this a rich and powerful county, even though we are very highly taxed. The highest, as a matter of fact, as John mentioned. You know, both the county exec candidates have been on the air in the last couple of weeks. The candidates, Greg is leaving, and they both mentioned jobs. And one of them pointed out that we've lost 7,500 jobs in the last 7 years. We've got to get new jobs. We've got to have more stuff going on, I guess. I mean, that's a lot of jobs, friends. All right, little county, big county. One thing we can say about it, it is the most beautiful county probably in the entire United States. And it's a place to live, good friendly friends and family and neighbors, and it's just a sweet place to live. Josh Freifeld, he is with us today. He is running C.R.I.C, and he's going to tell us a little bit about C.R.I.C, and I want to say good morning to you, Josh. Thank you for your forbearance. I don't think you've ever thought you'd be on the air.
No.
Pull over a little bit here so Randy can get up closer to us, okay?
Thank
More.
you
I'm not going to touch you.
That's all right.
Josh is a local boy for a long time, but he kind of moved around, Josh, right?
That's correct.
Where'd you start?
I was actually born in Manhattan, New York, and I moved around quite a bit, about 7 different states, lived in Florida, California, New York City, Pennsylvania. I've bounced around a few different places, but I call Chautauqua County home. I went to high school in Chautauqua County. I went to SUNY Fredonia.
You went to Westfield,
Yeah,
right?
I went to Westfield, correct,
Yeah.
yes.
We have something in common.
Exactly. So it's Chautauqua County, and I agree with your previous statement that it's the most beautiful place I've ever lived in. I'm proud to call it home, so I'm glad to be back.
When the French came through, being chased by the Brits at one point, and then they dropped off millions of dollars worth of gold up in the creek somewhere, up in Chautauqua Creek in the gorge, and they hadn't been found yet. According to anybody who knows, they hid it in a cave up there. They anecdoted themselves on all their diaries and what this is the Garden of Eden, Chautauqua
Right.
County up here.
Right.
It's the Garden of Eden.
I agree.
I don't know if they called it Chautauqua County then. Like Westfield wasn't, it wasn't Westfield, it was Crossroads.
Right.
And they had the Portage Trail. They used to go up and ship stuff down on the Chautauqua Creek, and they could take it down the Great Lakes, ferry Portage over to Chautauqua Lake, go down the lake, go out, follow down, Ohio River, finally the Mississippi River. They'd get anywhere in the middle of the country, just from Westfield, if they dropped it off at the harbor there. So at any rate, how'd you get into C.R.I.C?
I was looking for a job to come back to the county, actually. I'd worked in the City of Erie Redevelopment Authority for about 3.5 years. I actually went to grad school in Erie, Gannon University. I got my master's in public administration with a concentration in organizational leadership. So I wanted to get involved, and the City of Erie Redevelopment Authority allowed me to do that.
And so one of our callers just called in and said, "What's C.R.I.C? What do you do?"
Sure. C.R.I.C is a nonprofit. We've been around for 35 years. We're actually celebrating our 35th anniversary this year. We dabble in a lot of different areas. Housing rehab has always been our biggest priority. We receive many grants from local, state, and at the federal level. Things like lead remediation, which addresses lead hazards in the home. In housing stock that is older, like in Chautauqua County, you see a lot of lead paint that was used. Now that hasn't been used since 1978, but it's still present. Many homes were built many years before that. So
What do you do about it?
Typically we do paint stabilization.
What's that?
Where we remove any loose, chipping, flaking paint, because that's really the hazard. If it's intact, the walls are intact, the paint is intact, it's not a hazard. Once it's chipping, flaking, chalking, then you have a problem. So what we do paint stabilization. A lot of lead paint was found on windows, so we do window replacement, door replacement, siding installation in some cases, and sometimes even address flooring. So a lot of things can have lead that people don't know, lacquers, shellacs, paint obviously. So there's a need for it, and we successfully completed Lead Safe County 4 with the Chautauqua County Department of Health as our biggest partner for this grant. And we're just excited that we can make a difference and really affect low-income to moderate-income families here in the county.
I guess the hazard from the lead is kids eating it, right?
That's correct. It's kids eating it and hand-to-mouth contact with some of the lead dust. Obviously, kids are the most susceptible to lead paint, but pregnant women also, if they're remodeling their home or are not using safe protocols, cleaning with wet-safe methods, limiting the dust is a key. So women who are pregnant and youngest children are the highest at risk for being lead poisoned or lead sick.
So it could be a problem.
Yeah.
Especially on old houses where the it's flaking off, obviously. What do you do about that?
Well, that's where you can call an organization like us, C.R.I.C, or
Yeah, but if you're not low income, you can't.
Right, right. You can certainly contact some contractors throughout the county.
You pay a fortune, I'll bet, huh?
In some cases, but they'll give you some good tips. Again, you can remodel a little bit on your own home. It's just using safe, smart cleaning techniques.
Oh, I'm talking about the outside now.
Oh, yes, yes.
Shingles are always peeling off, and, you know.
Right,
what
right.
do you do with all this?
It's about containing it and making sure that it's taken care of properly. So, for example, on the siding, a lot of chipping paint on wood siding, for example. If you have the ability, best thing to do is put new siding on there, or repaint it, get a fresh coat of paint on there, seal everything up, remove any loose chipping, flaking paint, seal it up, make it fresh, new again, or if you have the ability to, put some aluminum or vinyl siding up, that'll at least protect and create a barrier for you.
So you're busy doing rehab. Now, what does rehab exactly mean? We hear about it all the time, but nobody ever told me exactly what it means.
Certainly. Housing rehab can mean a whole bunch of things. Like I stated earlier, it can be lead hazards, it could be roof replacements. We have a tremendous waiting list, unfortunately, at the organization. It's about 460 families and individuals deep who need assistance. Again, siding, roof replacement, foundation work, bathroom modifications. We have some programs at C.R.I.C that allow us to do handicap accessibility, where we can install a lift or a ramp in the front of the house, widen bathrooms, widen doorways, make the home more accessible for those who need it. It's addressing things in the house that our county residents can't afford to do themselves.
You had mentioned low income, and somebody wants to know what is low income? What are the limits?
It is 80% median income in the county. So it ranges a little bit here and there, but for a one-person household, you cannot exceed $32,800 to receive assistance from C.R.I.C.
How much money do you guys have? Somebody told me you're very limited. Unfortunately, they've been cutting back on your money.
That is unfortunate.
Yeah.
We have limited funds, and with the state of the economy, both at the federal level and at the state level, even here at the county, we're seeing cutbacks, unfortunately. So we're trying to get creative. We're trying to open up new avenues for developing some of these projects and programs. We do look at foundations for support. We'll go to the state for whatever help we can. And like I said, we did receive that federal money for lead hazards. So we're always looking for new ways to bring money into the organization and into the county so that we can assist low to moderate income families here.
Okay, so you have a lot of irons in the fire, evidently, but
that's correct.
how many people do you help a year? How many houses do you rehab, quote, or work on?
We had, it was about 85 single-family residents, and it was somewhere around 100 rental units last year alone. So it was about 180 families and individuals that were helped last year across all the spectrum of the services that we provide, the housing rehab, senior rehab, accessibility, lead, things like that. So,
do they have a rehab C.R.I.C in every county or every state, or what's the operation?
There are similar organizations in the county that dabble in different areas, weatherization, things like that. Where I came from, at the City of Erie Redevelopment Authority, it was very similar. There was housing rehab. I was the lead program manager there, and then there was some other rehab programs where they utilize CDBG funds, which are Community Development Block Grant funds. That gets funneled down through to the City of Erie, for example. So there are these programs that go around the country, thankfully, and I'm glad C.R.I.C can certainly represent that here. So.
Okay, we have a phone call. I want to take a call.
Certainly.
Hey, good morning. Thank you, caller, for waiting.
Good morning. I have a question for your guest.
Yeah.
I have folks that I know that rent, and I'm very concerned that this one particular apartment has lead paint, but the landlord refuses to do anything about it. What is your recourse, and what would it cost?
It's tough if the landlord's not willing to partner with us on some of these things. We do see this a lot. We're trying to expand some of our services, and we've looked into providing our own private risk assessment. We have 4 certified risk assessors who would go into the property, scan everything, see what's a lead hazard, and create a report that would be given to the landlord or the tenants. It depends. Typically, these services can run anywhere from $500 to $600, but with our lead program, that money was covered through the grant. Privately, there's unfortunately not too much that can be done, but we would certainly work with them. If you wanted to call into the office, we could try to get in contact with the tenants and explain to them what could be done, what services we could work out, and what might be available for them in the future.
Theoretically, you could just repaint it, right?
Correct. But again, it has to be done smart, safe, and effectively. Just going in there, blasting everything, sanding things down, if there is a threat of lead, is not the smartest route to go. So it has to be done. We'd like to see certified contractors go in and do this work, and we'd like to see landlords who are certified in something called the EPA Renovate, Repair, Paint Rule, which again, it teaches them how to properly rehabilitate, paint, and address some of these hazards in the house.
So a lot of the houses up here are basically dangerous. They have lead in them, right?
There is a higher likelihood of lead being present in houses that were built before 1978. Again, if it's intact, if walls are intact, it's not a hazard. It's only if it's beginning to chip, flake, and deteriorate. That's when it can become a problem. So it's making sure you clean up properly, limit exposure in the area when you're working, and if you have the ability to get someone in there who's certified, or certainly you can feel free to contact us, and we can get you mixed up with the right people who can certainly help you.
Which is going to cost an arm and a leg.
In some cases. It just depends on the work that needs to be done.
Yeah.
So.
Could you tell us what the signs are for if a child gets sick?
Unfortunately, some of the things that you'll see are slowed development, speech problems. It can be very serious for children. Not developing at the correct and proper pace. That's usually a telltale sign. Sometimes, sometimes they're mistaken for having ADHD or things like that, when in reality, it could be lead poisoning. So best thing to do is have your children tested if you're at all concerned. The younger they're tested, the better, just to see. Once they start crawling, and that's when you need to make sure that everybody gets tested.
Yes,
What's the phone number over there?
I'm sorry?
What's your phone number?
Oh,
phone number?
Certainly. Our phone number is 753-4650. That's the main office, and you can get in contact with our reception area, and they can explain a little bit to you or get you into the right pocket into the office.
753-4650.
Exactly.
Okay, there you go.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Thank you. Is there any way you can force a landlord to do something about lead if you got kids?
It's a very fine line.
It is, huh?
You really have to find that landlord who cares about the property, who cares about the tenants, and unfortunately, we don't have that mechanism at the moment to tell. We just have that educational opportunity to inform landlords that this is an issue, that tenants can be exposed to these serious risks. So the best thing to do, we train landlords, we train our contractors. There are educational opportunities out there where we're doing our best to make sure that people understand the risks and the hazards associated with this. And the last thing you need is a sick tenant. There could be some ramifications if you're a landlord. So contact our office, and we'll do our best to get you in contact with the right people.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah. Josh, C.R.I.C, for the most part, you seem to be a contact organization or an advisory organization. How often do you go into a house and say, we're going to do this for you, and get rid of the lead? or whatever it might be.
Right. We are an action organization as well. We certainly go in there. We just recently finished up Lead Safe County 4. It was a 3-year grant. We completed over 189 units of lead remediation, where we went in, made the unit lead safe by, like I said, addressing the lead hazards, replacing windows, paint stabilization, doors. So we're very active in the county. We have a heavy focus in the city of Jamestown. We did a tremendous amount of work there, the highest concentration of rental units. So that's where we tried to focus. But it was a county-wide grant. We will be trying to apply for a new 3-year grant at the federal level through HUD, Housing and Urban Development, when the next notice of funding comes out. So it's a very real concern, and we go in there and address the hazards. We have a highly trained staff. We have 4 certified risk assessors who go in and address it, write up the work scope, and then we have some great contractors that we work with who are certified to do this remediation.
So you're there if you need it.
Exactly.
And in some cases, you can actually do it yourself for the landlord or for the tenant or for the owner. I suppose
Correct.
you do a lot of private homes, too.
Correct. We certainly do. We'll do some single-family residence, but again, the thing is to make sure you're certified and trained properly. So, in addressing these hazards, and again, contact our office, and we can certainly get you in the right place to make sure you're trained the way you need to be to deal with these hazards.
Well, of course, Chautauqua County has some pretty old housing.
That's very true.
And you have not only the lead issue, which we've been talking about, you have asbestos. Now,
Yes.
tell us a little about that.
In some of the older homes, you will find asbestos. It's very cost prohibitive to go in and address those, but in some cases we have to have certified asbestos firms go in and actually remove it. Typically our contractors, our general contractors that we work with on a day-to-day basis don't do that. We have to go a step further and make sure everything is done through the proper channels, it's disposed of properly. We certainly don't recommend homeowners doing that themselves. Look at the contractor certification, make sure they're qualified to do that, and it must be disposed of properly. So
It could cost you more than the house.
exactly, that's usually the most expensive part in any rehab, is addressing asbestos issues in the home.
Okay, we got another call. You want to take it?
Certainly.
Hey, good morning, caller. Thank you for waiting.
Good morning, Reed.
Morning.
Morning.
I was wondering specifically about lead and how that affects your home value.
A lot of times people don't understand that, but it certainly can affect it. When you sell your house or list your home, there's a disclosure saying lead-based paint in the house or not. If there is chipping, flaking paint, you could certainly assume that there was lead in the home. So I would suggest dealing with that, shoring it up, removing any loose paint and sealing it before you sell it. It'll have some peace of mind for the new homeowner. It has a tendency to lower some value if they know that this is a concern. And they have as a purchaser of the property, they can have the house tested and certainly should have a house tested if the home was built before 1978, just for their own peace of mind. So to the caller, I hope that you would look at that as a concern for both yourself currently living there and for someone else who'd be purchasing the property.
Okay, you got another call.
Certainly.
Okay. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. I missed the first part of the program, so maybe this has already been answered. But as a senior citizen, if you, and I live in a house that's almost 100 years old, if you should find like lead pipes or who knows about lead paint, that'd be pretty hard to. Luckily, I don't have much paint in what it's been painted over, so that probably would not be applicable. But like old lead pipes or something like that, I know it's pretty expensive to have that taken care of. Are there funds to help if you're a senior or whatever?
We do currently have a senior housing rehab program. The funds are drying up relatively quick. We receive funding every few years or so, so we already have, unfortunately, most of the funding for this year allocated. We are always trying to apply for new funding to address things like that, where we could do some plumbing updates and making sure that that's all right. We're trying our best to make sure the funding is there, but right now we're pretty limited. You could certainly call in, maybe get on our waiting list. We'll notify you.
That's what I was going to ask. If new funding comes in as being next year, would that, and you applied then, but apply now for then, I guess?
Yes, I would certainly call in now, get in on our waiting list, and we'll see what best area we could fit you into, what program we have available for you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Phone number again is 7534650.
Correct.
50. A lot of different things. Now, she brought up a subject that is interesting, and that is just a few years ago, all the solder was lead. And most of the houses, a lot of houses, had copper pipe soldered with lead. So there's lead in almost all the old houses in the water.
Correct.
What do you do about this?
That's something that is quite the challenge. We typically stay away with our lead program at addressing it. Some of our housing rehab programs would. Best thing to do is make sure that everything is intact. If you have to replace some of the pipes, I would suggest doing that and making sure that there's a non-lead connection there.
Yeah, by law, I think you have to use non-lead now.
Correct.
Tin
Correct.
solder.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Again, after 1978, lead was supposed to be removed from most of those types of substances. So it's an expensive proposition, but again, you can contact our office. We could kind of guide you through that. But it's something that you should take some heart in and concern in. But it's not as big of a threat as breathing in lead dust or paint chips, things like that. Water, while there is a little bit of lead in water, it's not as big of a threat as bringing it in inhalation and things like that.
Yeah,
So.
I guess everybody, my age anyway, has a load of lead in us. Well, I find it's making me forget.
It has that ability to do that. It's a metal, so it bonds in the nervous system, and it can affect memory. It could affect these types of things. Most people have lead in us at some point. There's trace amounts. It's when you start getting significant amounts, that's when developmental hazards and disabilities start to form in children. So you want to make sure that you can limit the exposure, and that's the key, is limiting the exposure to lead hazards and other things.
When I was a kid, you could get lead anytime you wanted at the telephone company because all the cables were lead lined.
Right.
They were lead covered.
Right.
And you could go pick up tons of it. They let you get some. And we used to melt it down for sinkers and melt it down for bullets, too.
Yep.
Is there any hazard in this? Everybody melts lead for bullets now.
Right. Again, the hazard can be minimized if you don't. I heard the lead bobber for fishing and things like that. Don't bite down on it. Try to use a tool to snap it down into place. Things like that. It's just, again, using some common sense nowadays to try to limit your exposure to it.
Don't eat lead.
That is the moral. Right. Very true.
We're talking with Josh Freifeld. He is the director of C.R.I.C, which is a housing rehab program, and they basically provide a lot of good advice anyway, and help you out in small ways. C.R.I.C stands for?
It stands for Chautauqua Home Rehab and Improvement Corporation.
Okay.
So while we do the housing rehab side, we also do have some development side as well to the organization. We try to help communities, such as in Brockton, where we received funding to address and rehab and repair the Brockton arches. We renovated those and made them look nice again. And
did you get the lead out of them?
I think that was taken care of, I hope. So, but we refurbished the Brockton Arch. We have a project going on in Bemis Point that we're excited about. It's a streetscape project, which allows us to go in there and make and improve the walkability of the community. It's obviously a heavy tourist town during the summer months.
Which one now we're talking about?
Bemis Point.
Bemis Point is heavy tourist.
During the summer months.
During the summer months.
Yes.
And of course the ferry lands there, right?
Exactly. So we're trying to improve walkability, redo crosswalks.
What's walkability? How do you improve that?
It's putting down new crosswalks, expanding parking. Some of the parking spaces there are very narrow. Working with sidewalks, they're going to be repaving some roads, I believe. So there's a lot of development down there, so that we're going to improve the downtown area so that people can walk more and relieve some of the congestion that's down there sometimes. It's going to be tough, but we feel confident with this grant and this proposal that we're going to be able to do that. And hopefully it'll be completed by the spring of 2014, right before the summer rush comes back into Bemis. So. And then we're also working in Dunkirk on the lighthouse. We're trying to replace the roof, which is leaking and in disrepair, starting to cause some damage. We're trying to secure some match funding so that we have the funds available from the state to repair the roof, replace it with a historically accurate roof. It would be a slate roof is what we're trying to get on there.
That's pretty big bucks, though.
It certainly is, and that's one of the
How
reasons.
many slaters are around now? I think there's one old man who does it in the whole county.
That's right. So it certainly does cost a little bit, and we're trying our best to raise some matching funds for this project. It's important that we perform historic preservation as well, and this roof would stop any further deterioration. So C.R.I.C, while we have always enjoyed our home rehab program, we're trying to expand into a community developer, working with towns and villages to improve the lives on main streets in these communities, as well as some of these other historic preservation projects. So we're very excited about the future for C.R.I.C in the community.
You're hoping to get some funding, though, huh?
Yes.
That's critical.
It is critical. It is, exactly. And it's an uphill battle. There's many organizations in Chautauqua County, and then we have to go against the state in a lot of cases for some of the state grants. You just make the best case you can, say why the community, why the county needs this funding. And we've been very lucky and have a proven track record of succeeding with these grants and making sure that we meet our benchmarks and our goals that we've set out to reach. So it's important to have funding here in Chautauqua County and make it known that rural counties like our county need to have proper representation and need to have the funds brought in. It's not just a downstate thing anymore. We got to make sure that our county is well represented and funded.
Yeah, well, as you keep saying, and I guess it's critical, is grants. You have to have a lot of grants going out here.
We do.
How many writers you got? Half the staff writes grants, right?
It seems that most people can dabble in the grant writing. I myself have done a little bit. We do have some dedicated special project, a manager who does a lot of the grant writing as well. We've recently applied for a couple Main Street grants to address and make some of the nice downtown in this Brockton, Village of Brockton, as well as in Sherman. And we're trying to get some technical assistance money to help us with a developer plan and draw up some plans for them and get everybody on the same page so that we can develop these communities a little better. We've received some funding and hope to receive some more funding for CDBG, which is our rehab projects. We're going to be applying for Portland and Brockton and places like that. So we're hopeful to continue to get some funding. We're always hunting down the next foundation grant, the next state grant, federal grant, but we're also, like I said, a nonprofit, so you can donate to the organization. It would be tax deductible. So your contribution will go a long way in ensuring that people receive the services that are required here in the county.
You must have bumped into Mayor Hazelton.
I did. Yes, I have done that. So.
Very active guy over there in Portland, Brockton.
Yes.
And he's partially, probably mainly responsible for the restoration of the arch.
Correct. Right.
That arch.
We worked greatly together to get that project completed and move forward. So we were excited to see the finished product. I was there for the lighting ceremony. It was just a great experience, and we were glad for his leadership down there in making this a reality. So
yeah, I want to get him on the program sometime.
I think that'd be a good
Tell
thing.
us about what a small town can do.
Right.
Some of the wonderful things they can do.
Exactly, and they did a tremendous job of even raising some community support. There were dinners, fundraisers that they did in the community to help bring up some funds for the restoration of the arch. So small towns and communities like Brockton show that they can accomplish anything when they put their mind to it and have some strong leadership there.
Well, you said we. Now, what did C.R.I.C have to do with the arch? What did you do? You just screwed the light bulbs.
We actually secured the funding from the state.
Oh, yeah?
We wrote the grant for them. We secured the funding. We provided the assistance that they needed for submitting payment to the state. So we had a tremendous relationship with Brockton, and we're excited that we could help them as
You were
best we
talking
can.
about the funding. How much did it cost, roughly, for the arch, to redo that arch?
That was few $100,000 project, renovation project. So
That
we
could be
secured
up to 900,000 or.
I don't believe it was that much. I think it was 375,000 or something
A little
like
less
that.
than 400,000.
I believe so. I believe so.
To put that arch back. And,
Right.
I should say to rehab it. It was still there, but.
Right. It was to restore the arch.
What
back
did you do
its
to
form.
restore that thing? Everybody goes through Brockton all-time CC arch.
Right, right. It was taken down and it was shored up. I think there was some damage in the past few years. Some cars had hit it, so they just
Oh, God.
they made sure that it was restored properly and refurbished the way it needed to be.
And hope no more cars will slam into it, huh?
Exactly, exactly. Yes, that's going to be a good thing.
Yeah, that's one of the hazards of having an arch in the middle of
Right.
town. You got 4 square spots there where a car can bang into it. Huh?
Exactly, exactly.
Chatting with Josh Freifeld. He is the director, president, king. What's the term for your role?
I'm the executive director at the
Executive
organization.
director
Yes.
of C.R.I.C,
Yes.
which is again the
Chautauqua Home Rehab and Improvement Corporation.
right, which does work helping out, giving you a lot of advice, putting you in contact, and trying to get some funding, and even in some cases doing the work itself. Very rarely now, I'm sure, with the funding situation where they're basically defunding everybody in sight.
Right, right.
Including Senior Report.
Exactly. Unfortunately.
Well, Senior Report seems to sustain itself because it's a bare bones volunteer operation.
Right, right.
Not quite like Crick. All right, Crick is, I don't know, you've been around a long time, 35 years.
35 years, yes. We're celebrating our 35th anniversary as a nonprofit here in the county.
Yeah, and you say you did do 80 houses last year. You were involved. You probably didn't.
Correct. Well, again, the funding comes to us, and we sub all that work out to general contractors, and they'll perform the work. We have a great list of contractors. If you want some of their information, feel free to contact our office. Again, 753-4650. We can get you in contact with some of them. They do great work. They're lead certified, most of them, so they could certainly help people out. They'll do estimates for you, but they do the work for us, and we provide the funding for them to do that work.
And you basically get rid of some of the hazards of a house, like lead.
Correct.
And asbestos, and I'm sure you probably get rid of evil spirits or ghosts. What do you do for the ghosts? You know, some people have ghosts in their house.
Right. We haven't been able to dabble in removing any of those spirits yet, but we do. Like I said, we had the lead program that finished up. We're hoping to get some more funding for that. We have a senior rehab program. Accessibility.
A lot of seniors need rehab.
Exactly.
Rehabbing me in particular, you know. I can't do a cartwheel anymore. Last time I tried to show my kids how I do it, I fell flat on my crack. It was very embarrassing.
Right, I can imagine. I would imagine.
Well, when you hit 73 and a half, you're not quite as agile as you used to be.
Right.
I don't know what I'd do if somebody started chasing me with a baseball bat or something.
Hopefully that won't happen.
Hopefully not. They'd carry a sidearm, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Josh, we're kind of winding down here. I want to give you just about 30 seconds to close off because I just received this message. We're out of here.
All right.
Go ahead.
CRIC, again, is Chautauqua Home Rehab and Improvement Corporation. We're here to assist low-income, moderate-income families and individuals in the county. We're excited to help in any way we can, whether it's through advice or through the programs that we offer. We're here. You have a friend in us, and we look forward to hopefully another 35 years at least.
Okay, 7534650. And you can get in touch. You will answer the phone personally, right, Josh?
Sometimes I will.
Or
Yeah.
sometimes you will. Okay, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. I want to thank the last caller that we will not have on the air because we're out of time. But you'll come back some other time, maybe, huh?
Yes, hopefully
Yeah,
I will.
all right.
I'll explain some new projects.
I want to thank some people that really made this program possible. Chuck Kelsey, Devin Taylor, Chris Burt, Randy Burt, Chris Remaker, Jeff Zook, Don Zenz, last but not least, Doc John Hamels. Get out there and have a beautiful time, dance in the sun, swim the last few warm days that you can swim, especially in Lake Erie. And I want to thank the town of Westfield for keeping Lake Erie clean along what they call the White Sands. There's a little down in Barcelona Pier. There's a little area you can swim at. Get out there. May all that is proud, may it stay with you. May all that is proud and natural and sweet be part of your life for all of time. I'm Reed Powers.